Happy Tuesday and welcome to the Falcon Focus podcast. We are live here from the Concordia Cafeteria from now until 10:15. We're live on Facebook Live, archived on cuwfalcons.com. You can download the audio thanks to Podbean and listen on iTunes. My name is Matt Menzl, glad to have you along. And on today's episode, we'll talk men's lacrosse, that with junior defender Nathan Oekerman. But first, being joined by a multi-sport athlete in senior Ashley Solberg, who is here to represent women's tennis, but we'll also talk a little bit about women's lacrosse and women's basketball, teams she's also a part of here at Concordia. Ashley, thanks for your time here this morning. And let's talk about that multi-sport aspect, because it is so unique at any collegiate level to have an athlete that is partaking in three sports. Was that always kind of your plan, maybe at some point to come to Concordia and play all three?
No, I came here planning just to play tennis, and then freshman year I was playing basketball a lot in the gym with my friends, so I thought I should probably just be on the real team. So I did, I tried out, and that was amazing, and I was so glad I did that. And then during the fall of this year, I was talking to Lauren Paquin. I played lacrosse with her in high school, and she was saying how they were low on numbers, and I was like, well, I'll come play, like, if you guys will have me. And she was like, yeah, that'd be great. So I picked that up too, and it's been just the greatest decision. I love playing lacrosse, and the girls are amazing. So.
Well, at Waukesha West High School, you played basketball, lacrosse, tennis, track and field. There are a lot of comparisons to playing multiple sports at the high school level and the collegiate level, or is it a whole other animal because of the demands of collegiate sports?
It's a lot more in college, especially I think basketball takes up the most time, but that just makes it more rewarding. So.
I'm curious because looking at your bio, you had success in track and field at the high school level and qualifying for state. So why did you kind of, sway away from track and focus maybe on the other sports?
Well, in high school, I started out in track, and it was fun, but all my basketball friends joined lacrosse, so I was like, sure, I'll try that out. So that's kind of what brought me to lacrosse, and I stuck with it. Was
tennis always your number one? I mean, was that when you went and came here to Concordia, was that always your focus?
Well, in high school, I think basketball was actually my favorite sport.
Okay.
But then I realized that I was better at tennis, so I pursued tennis, and I love them both, so it was the right decision for me. Yeah.
You talked about adding lacrosse here this season. Let's start there by, was there a period where it took a little bit of time to maybe get up to speed because you're coming straight from basketball to lacrosse? You haven't played since your high school days. Was there that transitional period?
Yeah, I was pretty nervous my first practice coming back because the girls had all been practicing for about a month, and I was in basketball, so then I came in about a month late with some of the hockey girls also. And I was a little bit rusty at first, but then I think it's muscle memory, so I guess I picked it up after a bit.
So in your opinion right now, okay, a couple of weeks left in the regular season, how do you feel your lacrosse season's panned out?
I think it's been pretty fun. I'm playing defense, which is different than high school. I played attack, and defense is really cool. I feel like I've picked up a lot of good tools from Coach Brunner in basketball, and so I'm using that on defense and lacrosse, and it's been really fun, and I think we're having some success. Lauren Paquin obviously broke that record, which is amazing, so I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, Lauren Paquin now the program's all-time goal leader and is tied in points as well, and we'll break that in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
You talked about being like the defensive side now. Was that your choice? Is that kind of where they kind of plugged you in, where they needed help? How did that come about?
They just kind of said I was going to start on defense, and I said okay. And a couple games I play a little bit of midi and attack, but they just put me on defense, and that's fine.
So you talked about, just based on your basketball background, what did it take, though, in getting acclimated with that position, getting used to that position? What did that entail as far as practices go? Did you do a lot of talking with the coaches, the other defenders, to kind of figure out your role?
Ellie Woodman is a really good leader on our team, and she's really good at defense. So I kind of watched her, and she would always give us some tricks and tell us what to do. I also thought back to one of my best friends in high school was a really good defender, so I kind of thought about the things that she would do and tried to mimic that, and it works for the most part.
Now, it's one thing, okay, we talk about trying to juggle three sports, but now you have the oddity where sports overlap.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy month for you as far as the spring tennis schedule is going on. You're in the middle of women's lacrosse. How do you juggle it all?
Well, I think Emily is really understanding, Coach Emily from Lacrosse, and if there's a game or match conflict, I do go to tennis. So I missed the lacrosse spring break trip because I had a tennis spring break trip. But other than that, there hasn't really been any overlaps in matches and games. So I've been lucky and I can go to basically every game.
Is it hard? Is it challenging to kind of switch your brain, your mindset a little bit, going from tennis to lacrosse and then picking back up with one or the other?
I wouldn't say it's that difficult just because they're really different sports and the movements are different. I think it's exciting to go from, I guess, one family to the other because I love the girls on both teams and they're really different. So I think that's an exciting aspect of it.
I mentioned your basketball career here at Concordia over the last 3 seasons. We had head coach Stacey Brenner-Jones on our show a number of months back, and one of the things she mentioned with you is, when we added, and I'm paraphrasing here, we added Ashley, and when we added Ashley to the basketball team, we had a tennis player playing basketball. But then it became, she's a tennis athlete and a basketball athlete. What's that mean to you that, I'm not saying there were high expectations or no expectations, but that you were able to go out there and prove that you could handle both and you could be a big-time factor when it came to basketball as well?
Yeah, I was actually really happy and I felt blessed that she said that to me at the end, that I came in a tennis player and came out a basketball player, because at the beginning of my career in basketball, everyone always said, well, is tennis your main sport? I'm like, why do I have to have a main sport? Like, I played these in high school, I'm playing them now, I love them both, and I kind of would get annoyed that people would always say that I'm just a tennis player because basketball is just as important to me. So.
But you are here to talk tennis, so we're going to talk tennis now.
Let's do it.
Going back to your freshman year, 2015, NAC Freshman of the Year, did you anticipate when you came in you would be playing number 1 singles?
Well, I work with the Carroll coach in the summertime, and so he told me that if I went to Concordia, I would probably play 1, but that wasn't why I came here. And that was kind of a challenge for me because when I came and we had tryouts, I was like, why does he think I'm going to play 1? These girls are amazing. But then I thought, well, I have to prove to him that I will play 1, so I worked really hard to do it, and I did. But I didn't plan on it, I guess.
Did I see that Bailey Kelly was your first doubles partner?
Yes.
And she just, broke the NAC record with her 73rd career singles victory this past weekend against St. Norbert. Okay, so your first doubles partner, and you've had a couple different doubles partners. Does that take some time, getting used to one another and what one another brings to the table?
Yeah, definitely. She came in to college more as a singles player, and I had only played doubles in college, so Coach Steve kind of told me to teach her a little bit of the doubles strategy, and she picked that up, and she's just an amazing doubles player, and of course her singles game is awesome, and that's continued to progress. So, yeah. And
then by year number 2, your sophomore year, again, you were all conference, both in singles and doubles. Do you like the progress you made from one year to the next?
I do. Yeah, it was good. I didn't really know freshman of the year was a thing, but so I got that. And then all conference the next year was good. And then junior year was even better.
Yeah.
And this year just kind of stayed the same or down a little bit.
Well, you talk about your junior year, NAC Player of the Year. In your opinion, what in your game evolved or changed? How were you able to elevate your play?
I am a player who uses my backhand more than my forehand, so I worked on my forehand, but I tried to develop my backhand more so that it could be more of a weapon. So I think that, and then my net game. So in singles, I like to go to the net. I don't just stay back on the baseline. And I think that was really helpful because sometimes singles players aren't used to having someone come to the net. So I think that was a good thing to add.
Well, take us back to the fall of this season. Okay, your senior year. Your thoughts on the way the season kind of played out for you guys at that point? Conference play with 1 loss, good non-conference challenging slate. How do you think things kind of played out in the fall?
I was pretty disappointed because we haven't lost to Edgewood before, and so they took the conference championship from us for the fall. But it's kind of understandable because they're a really loud team and they yell consistently, after every point, each one of them. So it makes sense that maybe our freshmen got nervous because we have a lot of freshmen and they can be intimidating. So I'm a little disappointed how it ended, but I'm not.
They yell after every point?
Yeah, like they yell to each other. It's really weird.
Does any other team do that?
No, not at this level at least.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you put down the racket in October, and then you pick it back up as far as competition at the collegiate level goes, maybe again in February, March. I know you're focused on basketball in between, but is it kind of weird in the sense that, or different, that all of a sudden you're right back into the season again, but it's now 3-4 months have passed?
It is kind of weird. I think my favorite part about it, though, is seeing how the freshmen have developed, because it's obviously the first time playing a college sport and playing tennis at the college level. And so we have winter hitting, and I went to it when I could, but obviously I had basketball, and they went a lot. And the first day back in practice, I could see that they were already improved. So that was really cool to see.
What's your thoughts on the way the spring has started out?
Good. We went to Orlando for spring break, and that's a lot harder competition than Hilton Head. And so Concordia's never actually gotten a win there as a team, and we did this year.
Nice.
So that was a good first. I went in and I was sick, so personally it was a little frustrating because I didn't get as many wins as I wanted. But I think it's been looking up. We just beat St. Norbert pretty well, and that was exciting. We have Carroll coming up, so that'll be a good match.
Yeah, St. Norbert victory, 8-1. Carroll coming up on the road, coming up on Thursday. And then about 2 weeks out, NAC tournament gets underway. Falcons have won the last 3, and you look, okay, they have the bye, number 2 seed, along with Edgewood as number 1 seed. And so you have the first round matchups with Wisconsin, Lutheran, Illinois Tech. You have MSOE and Marion in the first round. Falcons will await the highest remaining seed, and that will take place in the semis on May 5th. Kind of take us through the NAC tournament, kind of handicap it for us a little bit. You've seen those teams in action. How do you see it kind of playing out?
You know, I'm hopeful for this year. It'll be harder than in the past because Illinois Tech's in the conference, and I assume that that's who we're going to play. So in the fall, we beat them only 5-4.
And that was a comeback win, was it not?
Yeah, it was. Yep. So they have 2 studs at the top of the lineup, so I can't really contribute that much because they're way better than me. So I rely on the rest of my team to do their job, but I'm hopeful that we'll beat them again. And then now that the freshmen have seen what it's like to play Edgewood, I hope that they can be ready for that kind of intensity and not be so nervous. And hopefully they feel used to playing at the Nielsen Center right away, because that's a little bit scary at the beginning.
So that will be in Madison on May 5th. Now time for our rapid fire segment where we get to know you a little bit better with some random questions.
Okay.
I guess the first one is, do you have a pre-game, pre-match routine? Any of your sports?
My favorite one is in basketball. We have a pregame dance that we do in the locker room. So we have a partner. My partner is my roommate, Cameron. She's on the basketball team. We do a little dance, and then it's fun.
How much goes into this dance? Is it a lot of planning, or is it just kind of...
Aubrey and Taylor, they're 2 of our freshmen, and they found this YouTube video that's like this fun song, and it has a dance with it, so we just learned the dance.
Favorite food?
My favorite food? Poppy seed chicken that my mom makes.
Okay. Favorite type of music? What music are you guys dancing out to?
I like pop. Demi Lovato is my favorite artist.
Okay. Favorite TV show?
Friends, probably.
A lot of people like Friends.
Yeah.
Still, that's shocking.
Still.
I guess still. It is in syndication.
It's new for me, though. I'm young.
That's true. Favorite pro sports athlete?
Serena Williams and Venus.
No question about it.
No.
Has that been for as long as you've been playing tennis?
My first tennis racket had both their names on it. So.
Do you have a nickname?
Everyone calls me Ash.
Okay. Favorite thing about tennis?
I love volleys. That's my favorite part.
Favorite thing about basketball?
Making a crafty post move is pretty fun.
Favorite thing about lacrosse?
Honestly, just playing, because I haven't been able to for so long. So the whole thing.
Take the 4 sports that you've played, which includes track back in your high school days, out of the equation. Is there one sport that you wish you would have tried, or think about, well, I should have tried this at some point, or would like to go back and try?
I kind of wish that I would have played softball, because both my brothers and my dad played baseball, and softball would have interfered with my spring sports now, so that wouldn't have worked. But it would have been cool to be able to have my dad coach me in his favorite type of sport.
Here at Concordia, your favorite thing about the campus?
I like my room. The Regions 5 rooms are good.
What's your major?
My major is psychology and business.
So then finally, what's your dream job?
well, if I could really have my dream job, I'd be a pop star, but that's not going to happen. So I'm planning on being a mental health counselor.
Sounds good. Ashley, as always, thanks a lot for your time. Best of luck in a couple of weeks with the NAC women's tennis tournament, but then also with lacrosse season as it continues to wind down here in the coming weeks.
Thank you.
Speaking of lacrosse, when we come back, we switch gears now to men's lacrosse. We'll talk with junior defender Nathan Oekerman. Stay tuned. You're tuned into the Falcon Focus podcast.
When did our measurement of success in life become so common? Because as unpopular as it might sound, God never intended for any of us to live a comfortable life. He intended for each of us to live each day with a higher purpose, to go outside our comfort zones and use our gifts and talents in the service of others. That's why He created each one of us uniquely, remarkably, to stand apart from the crowd, to live a life that's actually uncommon. Maybe that's why at Concordia University, our students have never been satisfied with simply fitting in and doing great things, but instead becoming great people. And why our education focuses on not only developing what you know, but who you are and who you were made to be. Passionate, faithful, courageous. Because living uncommon means living a you-first life in a me-first world, which isn't the easiest way, but at Concordia, it's the only way. After all, doesn't the world already have enough common? Concordia University. Live uncommon.
Welcome back to the Falcon Focus podcast. We're with you until 10:15 live on Facebook Live, archived on cuwfalcons.com. Again, listen through iTunes by downloading the audio thanks to Podbean, and we'll be with you again next Tuesday from 9:45 to 10:15 here live from the Concordia cafeteria. But winding down here in the spring and now turning our attention to men's lacrosse and junior defender Nathan Oekerman. Right now, the men's lacrosse team, 9-3. They've won 4 consecutive, but they sit atop the Midwest Lacrosse Conference standings. A perfect 7-0. Aurora and Benedictine both at second at 6-1. Both those teams suffering defeats to the Falcons. And Nathan, thanks for your time. Your thoughts on the way this season has started?
I think this season so far has been a success. Our end goal is to make it to the NCAA tournament. That's been our goal for the past few years. We haven't quite gotten there, but so far with this season, I think we've been playing well and building on past performances. I think this last weekend's win against Concordia Chicago was a really good win for us. We got a lot of guys who don't usually score goals, and so I think that's a big win for us going into the rest of the season.
Yeah, dominant win against Concordia Chicago, 11 different players scoring in that win on Saturday. Your stat line right now, 1 goal, 29 ground balls, 18 caused turnovers. How do you feel your season has started?
Well, I had an injury earlier in the season. Happens, it's part of the game. We have a really good training staff, though, who brought me back to health, and so I can get back out on the field. But I'm only able to play well because I've got 6 other guys behind me who allow me to do some things that maybe go outside of the game plan. They trust me and I trust them, and I think that's really where my season is coming from.
Last year, all captains will mention long stick midfielder, now listed as a defender. Has that been an adjustment?
Well, I've actually been playing back and forth, doing a little bit of everything. Whatever the team needs, I'm willing to do. With our defense, we have a lot of talent. So getting the best guys out on the field is kind of a tricky job for our coach, Coach Fuqua. So he does a really good job. I'm bouncing back and forth, and he's able to use me wherever he needs.
As far as using a long stick, I've always wondered about this. Is that an adjustment? Because, yes, you have a longer stick than everybody else out there, and you can maybe cover more ground or get to a ball, from greater distances. But at the same point, I feel like you're exposed more, too, because you have a long stick, and, other opponents can dislodge the ball. How do you go about playing with a long stick?
Defensively, getting my stick out is one of the most important things I've been working on as well. So defensively, it helps cut down that space between the player I'm guarding and myself. But when I'm carrying the ball, it's a little tougher to get in those tight spaces and move around. So just knowing where the other players are and keeping my stick in the right place is really the most important part.
Do you have that long stick midfield experience prior to coming to Concordia?
I actually came here as a long stick midfielder, then played my freshman year, and then was kind of back and forth last year and this year.
Now, scoring-wise, you're one of the players that has scored this season. Your lone goal this year, your second of your career, came in an enormous 12-8 victory against Benedictine back on March 13th. What do you remember about that goal?
I remember time was winding down. One of their players dropped the ball kind of just right in my lap, picked it up. Coach was yelling green. I didn't really hear him. I was just going to go to the net anyways. I knew the scout on the goalie he couldn't cover low. So I just kind of closed my eyes, threw as hard as I could, and it went in. So it was a good goal.
I'm guessing you remember your first one, too?
Against Cornell, yeah.
See? Another enormous win came on April 3rd. You guys were able to knock off Aurora 10-3, and you had a couple of ground balls, 3 caused turnovers. How satisfying, and I know that the work is not done yet, and you guys have those lofty goals of getting to the NCAA tournament, but how satisfying is it anytime you can beat a rival like Aurora, who has been the team to beat every year, it seems like, for 5-6 years in the Midwest Lacrosse Conference?
That is a huge win for us. Conference-wise, I think it sends a message to the rest of the conference that we're legit. We're here to play. We were picked number 1. We were picked to win the conference. I think a win like that really says that we're the real deal. And just for momentum and confidence for some of the guys, we had Donovan Harper score 5 goals in that game. So getting his confidence going, I think that's going to be huge going to the end of the season. But like you said, work's not done yet. My freshman year, we beat Aurora, but we weren't able to win the playoffs to get to the NCAA championship or playoffs. So work's not done yet, so we just got to keep grinding.
You look at a score, though, 10-3, and you look at some of the numbers, and you guys were able to get it done. I mean, you finished on your opportunities. In your opinion, what was the key to that victory?
I think it was the game plan. Our coaches, they work really, really hard week in, week out to get us prepared with a good scout, what their players are like. So I think it was our coaching staff getting us ready to go. One of our graduate assistants, Kellen Asmundsson, gave a pretty fired up speech. So I think that really got the guys going, and I think it was just a combination of wanting to win so bad and then having the right game plan for success.
Now, for returnees like yourself, yes, the last 2 years you guys have been in the tournament championship and fallen against Aurora. You look at experiences like that. Do those help now? Okay, it obviously stinks losing. I mean, that's not fun to have your season come to a close the way they have the last 2 years, but to be in that championship game, are you guys able to learn from those experiences and now apply that to this year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, playing big games for younger guys, I can kind of rattle them a little bit. I mean, we're a young team, but we're a pretty experienced team. So getting to those 2 championships, unfortunately losing, that's part of the game. But I think that does prepare us now for this season and next season, as we're going to have, I think we're going to have 2 pretty good seasons coming up.
You mentioned it a couple of years ago as a freshman. You guys were able to knock off Aurora during the course of the regular season. Tri-conference regular season champions that year with Aurora and Beloit. First of all, what made that team so successful, and what are some of the comparisons to that team to this year's team, or are there comparisons?
I think there's some. I think our defense, we've always had a strong defense here at Concordia, at least since I've been here. But I think with my freshman year, we had amazing leaders. Kellen, who's now one of our graduate assistants, James Warner, Ben Smith, they were all really good leaders for me coming in as a freshman. So I think without those guys, I don't think that we would be in that same position.
You mentioned the team came into this season predicted to finish number 1 in the conference. You have the targets on your backside. First of all, was it kind of a surprise to be predicted first? Not to say anything about Concordia, but typically when you see a preseason poll, it's based on what happened the year before. So I don't think it would have surprised anybody if Aurora is predicted to finish first again. Do you like that target? Do you like being predicted first? Do you like those expectations?
Yeah, I always like when the pressure's on a little bit more. So getting that, I think it was good for the program to be predicted number 1. But I mean, predictions don't really mean a whole lot unless you follow through and get the job done. So I like it. I like the target on my back. I like the high expectations and the pressure. But I think for some of the guys on the team, it's tough getting every team's best. But I think we're at the point now where it doesn't matter who we play. If we play our game, we're going to win.
Yeah, and you guys are finding ways to win. And luckily, so far, knock on wood, weather hasn't been an enormous factor, at least not for lacrosse. Last year, you got a couple of snow games in there and among other events. But how important is it to have that weather? I mean, you guys are finding ways to win, and luckily so far, knock on wood, weather hasn't been an enormous factor, at least not for lacrosse. Last year, you got a couple of snow games in there and among other events. But How much fun for you is it to play in front of a 4-year starting goalkeeper in Garrett Wolford, who right now, by the way, is number 1 in the nation in save percentage, is also number 2 in the nation in goals against average?
Yeah. Some of the saves he makes, it's just you kind of scratch your head. It's like, how does a big guy like that get to all the places he does? But I think the big thing for us as a total defense is we're giving him good opportunities to see the ball and make the saves, and he'll let us know if we give up a shot that he doesn't like, even if he makes a save. But I think as a unit we play well, and we know what he likes and what shots he likes and what shots he doesn't like, and so we're able to force the offense into those shots.
So I'm guessing there's a confidence factor for the defense, knowing he's back there, knowing he knows what he's doing and he can make the big save.
Yeah, I mean, it gives me a ton of confidence to know that I can kind of go out there and play a little bit outside of the game plan, because if a mistake does happen, he's got our back.
The team right now has 132 goals, and it's been a pretty balanced attack, but 18 players have goals, 21 with points. Who are some of the other guys, I guess, in your opinion, that have stepped up to make this a successful start to the season?
I think we've had a lot of young guys step up. David Bauer, who's another LSM, he's been playing really, really well this year. Coming in and adjusting the game is hard to do. Coming from a senior in high school to freshman in college, that's a big jump. I think he's been playing really well. A guy like Bennett Patlix, who's given his heart and soul to this program for 4 years and getting his opportunity to play this year and making the most out of it. He doesn't really show up on the stat sheet, but without him, our defense is not as good. Him and Sebastian Leck, who's probably, in my opinion, the best defender in the conference.
Now, you came to Concordia, switching gears. You came from Oregon here to Mequon. And first of all, is lacrosse big out west? I know, obviously, it started off big out east. It's been sweeping across the country. But when you started playing lacrosse, was it just, becoming somewhat new? Was it already established?
It was somewhat established. I mean, there was leagues. If you wanted to play, you could. But it wasn't as big as the East Coast. By the time my senior year, we had players like Peter Baum, who won the Heisman of lacrosse in college. Guys like Tucker Dornovic, who now plays at Syracuse. A lot of high talent guys from the area. And I think that those high talent guys are going back and giving back to the game in Oregon and Washington and Northwest, and it's only causing the game to grow more.
How did you get involved in lacrosse? What prompted you want to play the sport?
I wanted to play football, but my mom said no, it's too dangerous. So we'll play lacrosse for a few years, and I started playing in 5th grade and just fell in love with it.
What's your favorite part about the sport?
Probably the physicality, but also the speed. With football, you have the big linemen and you have the speed guys. In lacrosse, you can't be one or the other. You have to be able to cover ground and lay the wood if you need to. So just the versatility and all the things that you need to be able to do as a lacrosse player that you don't really need in other sports.
And in high school, you left your school as the record holder in ground balls. What led you to Concordia then from Oregon?
Coach Fahey reached out to me. I looked at the school. I wanted to come to a place where I could be more than just a lacrosse player, where I could be a student first. You can't be a professional lacrosse player and make a living off of that. So I wanted to go to a place where I could be a student first and then not be as focused on athletics. But I also wanted to play right away. I knew senior Mark Wilson was leaving. He was a senior when he graduated the year I was coming in. So it was a great opportunity for me to play right away on a good team on the rise for sure, with a good defense. And so all those added up together, and now I'm here.
Well, let's do a rapid fire segment with you as we get to know you a little bit better. You have a pregame routine.
Me and my roommate listen to Freebird by Leonard Skinner on our way over from our apartment.
That must be a long ride. You get through the whole song?
Whole song, yeah. It's about 8.5, 9 minutes.
Yeah. If not lacrosse, what sport?
Probably football.
You have hobbies?
Love to grill. Get on the grill. Cook up for my friends for sure.
Anything in particular you love to grill?
Anything. If it's meat, I'll grill it.
Do you collect anything, or did you collect anything growing up?
Huge Pokemon kid. Love Pokemon.
So you collected them all?
Almost got them all.
Favorite pro sports team?
Portland Trailblazers.
Favorite pro sport athlete?
Damian Lillard.
You have a nickname?
I've got a few, yeah. Hurricane, Big Girth. Got a few.
How many of those came from Concordia, and how many those nicknames were established before you stepped on campus?
Big Earth was here, and then Hurricane as well. And then I have some from back home, but can't really say them on air.
Do you prefer one or the other?
Just whatever's fine.
You like to grill. Do you have a favorite food?
Chicken nuggets, hands down.
Is there one place in particular that makes the best chicken nuggets in your opinion?
McDonald's is solid, so I'm going to stick with McDonald's.
Do you have a favorite movie?
Got a few. The Other Guys, a lot of Will Ferrell movies. We watch a ton of those on the bus.
Favorite type of music? You mentioned what you jam out to get here.
I listen to anything from like 1960 to now. It's on my phone, willing to listen to it. Got pretty much anything.
You mentioned you came here to be more than just an athlete. So what's your major?
Business education.
What do you hope to do with that major?
Teach high school business classes and coach high school lacrosse.
Do you have a dream job?
Stay-at-home dad.
I like it. We'll wrap it up by just looking ahead now for the men's lacrosse schedule. And 4 regular season games left. 3 of those will be at Fitting Field beginning tomorrow at 4 p.m. against Marion. And then note that Saturday's game got moved up to Friday. If you missed that, on CWFalcons.com. Friday against North Central Minnesota gets underway at 3 p.m. Team 4-0 at Fitting Field. Your thoughts kind of on the road ahead and what fans can expect here this week at home?
Well, my parents get to come out to these games, so I'm really excited for that. They usually only get to see 1 or 2 games a year in person. But I think you're going to see a team that's fired up, ready to close out the season strong and really send a message in these last 4 games.
I know your focus is defense, but you got a goal in you this weekend, you think? Maybe in front of your folks?
We'll see. My first goal of my career came when my mom was watching, so we'll see.
Awesome. Well, Nathan, thanks a lot for your time. Best of luck these next couple of weeks. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a regular season championship and then the Falcons in a position to host the tournament May 1st and May 4th. That will do it for this week's edition of the Falcon Focus podcast. Thanks to both Ashley Solberg and Nathan Oekerman. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you again at 4 o'clock today for baseball at Capco Park, Falcons and Edgewood College Eagles on the Falcon Athletic Network. This has been the Falcon Focus podcast.